Hey everyone! Today I have a video showing you the inside of an actual tiny Tokyo apartment. This is actually the apartment that we stayed in from our Airbnb on our last trip, and I just thought it was really interesting to see how actual Japanese people live in these tiny little places, and this is where we were staying. I think it's great. I think they utilize the space really well, especially because there are so many people packed into this Tokyo area. Actually, Tokyo is pretty big, but there's a lot of people living there, and so a lot of their apartment buildings are very compact, and this is one of them. If I were to compare it to my apartment right now, my apartment's it's a 1-bedroom, and it has a full kitchen and a full bathroom and then a living room area, and it's about 500 to 600 square feet, and it's small. It's a small apartment for US standard size. But in Tokyo, the Airbnb that we stayed in this time was probably 200 square feet at the most, I would say. It was really tiny. It's still cool though. It's really cool because they can fit a lot in there. They even have a freaking wash machine in there. Like, my apartment is 500 square feet, and do we have a wash machine? No, because that's not how we roll, apparently. Well, they don't have a stove. Not a lot of people who would probably be living in this area or this kind of apartment would need a stove. Most Japanese don't utilize stoves. Sometimes they have these fish grill things, but they don't often have full-on stoves. And also, if you're gonna be living in this apartment, most likely you're gonna be a single person, and you're probably not going to be doing a lot of baking. Living in this apartment with more than one person and a pet or a child or something like that would be very challenging, but possibly doable. People, I'm sure, live in smaller. This would be kind of similar to a New York style studio type of apartment. It's small, yeah. But with that, the cool thing is that you're living in the heart of Tokyo and you're not paying an expensive amount of rent per month. This apartment is probably, if I had to guess, I don't know for sure because I didn't ask, that probably wouldn't be very polite, but I'm guessing it was about $300 to $400 a month. If that was in Los Angeles or New York, going right now for the price that things are right now today, in Los Angeles, that apartment for sure would have been like $900 to $1,200 a month. In New York, it could be $1,200 to $1,500 a month. It's really insane how expensive America is versus Japan. The only bad thing about some of these tiny apartments, which is similar to my apartment as well, is that the walls are paper thin. So you can hear people snoring, you can hear people coughing, you can hear people's televisions, you can hear people just talking, having a regular conversation about this loud. So that kind of sucks. If you're going to move, or if you are a person who's very sensitive to sound, I recommend staying in or moving into a concrete building, because then the walls are concrete and you don't hear anybody. That's what we stayed in the last time that we were in Tokyo, and we stayed in the Roppongi area. Our apartment for the Airbnb was a concrete apartment, and we couldn't hear any outside noise at all. It was pretty cool. It was very small as well, but it was a different setup than this one. So take a look at the apartment. I'll do talking in the video too. It's kind of weird. And you'll probably notice that I'm talking very quietly in that video because, again, like I said, the walls were paper thin, and so I didn't want to wake anybody up. I did it kind of early in the morning, like right when I got up. So yeah, check it out. See what you think. Okay, so this is our apartment tour for Tokyo. So we come in here, and the first thing you have is this, I think it's called a gunkan, or gunkan, something. I'll type it, but you have to take your shoes off. And this is an Airbnb rental. This is not actually our apartment, but this is kind of what we're walking into right now. We have this handy dandy little washer, which is really nice, because if you didn't have this, it would really stink. You'd have to go to a laundromat. And then up here, usually they put shoes in these tiny little cupboards, but in here is some extra supplies, cleaning supplies, things like that. And then coming in here, this is, if it'll focus, this is going to be your living space. And then right here we have the tiniest kitchen in the world. There's not even a stove, it's just this tiny little hot plate, and then the sink. Looks like someone's been drinking some sake. And then a little like dorm refrigerator, and then a little tiny bit of storage underneath the sink. And then there's a little bit more storage up here. And then you have to take your shoes off like the sign says. You do that in all Japanese homes. And then here is the bathroom. The bathroom is pretty cool because it's a wet bathroom, so you have the toilet and the tub in one place, and there's a drain there so you can pretty much just hose down the bathroom. And this is, so we did our laundry, and you can see that we have it hanging in there. What's really cool is if you look right next to the bathroom here, is this controls your hot water. So you can set it to the temperature that you want the hot water, which is really cool because that way you don't have to like do the guesswork in the morning. You're like tired and groggy and you're like, please, I just want to have the water. No, you just set it to however you're gonna have it and go to town. And then here, this is really cool because you have a drying, a heat, cool, and ventilation. So when you do your laundry, if you don't want to hang it outside, like maybe it's raining or you just don't feel like opening up the window, you can dry your clothes. You can also dry the bathroom so it's not all wet and soggy in there. And you can set it for how many hours you want. And then you have heat for the winter when it's really cold. And then you have cooling if you're really hot in the summer because it gets really hot here. And then your ventilation. That's really cool. Their light switches are normal, but there's so many light switches in here I can never remember which one goes where. So here's the shower again. That over there is a removable shower head. She does have a shower curtain in this one. A lot of the ones that I've been in, they don't have a shower curtain. That's the heating ventilation system up there. And so if it does, again, it's fine if everything gets wet because it's a completely wet shower. And this is an interesting feature here. If you turn this way, this little knob, that then activates the shower water, and then here activates the sink water. Pretty neat. And then there's the only mirror in this apartment. The only problem, hey, I have my coat on because I went outside. The only problem with this apartment, as you will see in a second, besides the fact that it is tiny, is that there's not a lot of like functional usage of the space. So here we go into, so starting over here, it's just nothing, but we do have our luggage and their little like tech space. And we have a loft, which we are using. So there are no hanging spaces in here, so we've kind of utilized everything else as a hanging space. Sorry, little tiny apartment. And if I step in the corner, there's the other corner. This is very tiny. It's got a nice big window though, so that's great. And all that came in this apartment for the Airbnb that we're staying at is this tiny little table and these two chairs. And then behind the door, there is a little tiny shelf that has a lot of information, which is really nice. So in this, I feel like there could have been more shelving and some more like hanger situations, so you don't have to put all your junk on the floor. And then here's for some reason there's a door here. It's a great hanging thing, but that's the look back at the door. And this is literally the space. It's just this tiny little itty bitty. It's probably like a 7x7, maybe if we're lucky. And then, oh, the trash. So in Japan you have to separate the trash. I don't know if this will focus on this, but so you have, I'm not really sure how to do it exactly. I just kind of barely remember from the last time we were here. So I've separated like the bottles, the PET bottles, and then like actual food scraps, and then just everything else. I'm not sure if I did that right, but we'll see. So then we come up over here to the loft. And there's my boyfriend's feet. Oh my gosh, they're the most attractive feet in the world. And so this, hey honey, this is the loft. It's nice that it has this little elevated ceiling here because you don't bang your head on the ceiling, but basically she has 2 air mattresses set up in here, 2 twins. And they're pretty comfortable. And there's a tiny little built-in shelf thing over there. And there's a plug over there. So that's basically it. There's a skylight, which is a nice feature. It does wake us up pretty early in the morning, but that's okay. We're in Japan. We should be out exploring. So we'll go back down the stairs very carefully because I have a camera in my hand. And it wasn't cheap. And I'm in my pajamas, I'm sorry. Because I do classy videos like that. Okay, so out our window is another apartment. Let's see, we'll open the side. I locked it. But it's cool because you can totally jump. You got this really nice hanging bar for your laundry if you want to do outside hanging. And there is the apartment next to us. Very nice. And here's our cool little alleyway out to the street. And I really like this place. It's great for like an Airbnb style thing. It's not the best, I don't think, if you want to live here unless you're a single person. Having a family and a cat would be a little bit tricky. But that's just kind of this little guy. So you can see what a teeny tiny apartment in Japan looks like. Alright, thanks guys. Thanks so much guys for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe because I will have more videos coming out about Japan and other fun things. Some of our trips around California too. Oh my gosh. And then you can follow me for even more spectacular pictures and adventures on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and Snow and Twitter. Thanks guys. Bye.